Okay, everyone, we're going to move on to our next lesson called Describing Angles. This is a fairly straightforward lesson and one that you definitely want to keep in mind because it does help you find the measurement of unknown angles. So basically, we're going to start off here just with what adjacent angles are. Adjacent angles are when you have two angles that are basically side by side and they share a common vertex. So if you look at this example right here, we have adjacent angles. Let's call this angle A, and let's call this one angle B. Well, if you notice, they're adjacent because they share a common vertex. That's your point. If I drew another one, so let's say we had this ray, okay, and let's say we have this one, and let's say we have that one. Now, this is our vertex. So we have this angle and we have this angle. If I call that one X and this one Y, those are adjacent angles because both of these angles share a common vertex. Now, what we move on to next here are called complementary angles, and you are going to want to keep this in mind. Complementary angles, you see, so these are adjacent angles. Again, they are, so if I look at this example right here, why are they adjacent? Well, if you look at this 30-degree angle and this 60-degree angle, well, they're adjacent because they share a common vertex right here. Now, complementary angles must always add to 90 degrees. So that means if you have angle 1 and if you take angle 2, if you add those two angles together, you must have 90 degrees. If I use this now as an example, if I told you that this was 80 degrees, how much is this unknown angle? Well, if you look in the background here, you have that square, which we have learned kind of signifies a 90-degree or right angle. So we know that from, if you take this straight up and down to this horizontal or sideways line, we have 90 degrees. We also know that they are perpendicular, which also means 90 degrees. Therefore, if this is 80, this angle right here must be 10 because the two adjacent angles must add together to give you 90 degrees. Okay, so just very simple, everyone. You have to keep in mind, complementary is when you have two adjacent angles. Well, they're going to give you a sum or a total of 90 degrees. On the other hand, we have supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are when you have two adjacent angles and they must add together to give you 180 degrees. So if you look here, remember, a straight line or a straight angle is 180 degrees. It also looks like if you look at the total angle, it's half of a circle. So half of a circle is 180 degrees. Well, if you look at that, if they told you that this angle right here was 30, this one right here is 150, it works because 30 and 150 does give you 180. So for supplementary, angle 1 plus angle 2 has to equal 180 degrees in total. If I give you another example, so look here, everyone, we have a straight line or a straight angle. So that's going to give you 180 degrees. Again, you can draw the half circle. Half a circle is always 180 degrees. Anyway, so let's say I told you this angle right here was, I don't know, we'll go with 70 degrees. I could ask you, how much is this angle? Well, you know that two numbers have to go together to equal 180 degrees. So you would go, you know that 70 plus something, I could put a question mark or an X, has to give you 180. Various ways to do this, but you're looking at a 110-degree angle. So it is very straightforward here. Supplementary is two angles that come together to give you 180 degrees. Right here kind of gives you some more little tips on how to calculate that. But what's going to happen now is you're going to get some examples, and it's going to kind of basically walk you through, if they give you one angle, give the other one. Okay, so for example, we'll just do A here together. So example A, it says find the complement and the supplement. Okay, so if you want to recap, a complementary angle is where they add to 90 degrees. So if we have 75 degrees, 75 plus what gives you 90? Well, that's a gap of 15 degrees. So the complement to 75 would be 15. If they want the supplement, well, that's supplementary angles are when two angles add to 180. So in this case, what would that be? Well, you would need 105 degrees to give you 180. This is pretty straightforward, everyone, and there is a case in here if you read this paragraph carefully where you might come out with a little bit of an error or an issue where something doesn't exist, but I'll let you read that. But yeah, complementary is very easy, two angles that add to 90, and supplementary angles are nice and easy too because it's two angles that add to 180 degrees. We'll give you some practice now. Best of luck.